Might help if I unmute my mic. How's everyone doing today? Hope everyone's enjoying this nice Friday. It's Friday. Friday afternoon. Hope everyone was able to sleep in spite of fireworks. Some jackass out right outside my apartment was lighting them off at like 1 a.m. So that was fun. But thankfully, otherwise, today's been chill. Enjoying today after the shit show that was work yesterday. And with that being said, we're back in there, baby. More Tsukihime. I think we're approaching the part of the game where I left off back when I first touched the band translation. I feel like I stopped somewhere in the hotel. I feel like I remember a lore dump, so it's probably like very shortly after that I stopped playing back when I was first checking out the band translation. So, yeah, let's get back into the swing of things. The funny white woman is here, who I really need to get used to her voice. I just get Bochi flashbacks. Arkwade looks like she's enjoying herself as she inspects the hotel room. I have no words for how this day has turned out. And here we are. Arkwade hailed a taxi on the main street and we drove over to one of the neighboring city districts. From there, we didn't just book a room at one of the most prominent and expensive hotels around. No, Arkwade decided to book the entire top floor just for us. I feel like some A-list celebrity. I feel like Arkwade would stick her head out of the window in a car like she's a dog. Even though she is the most cat-coated vampire of all time. Arkwade happily peeks through the shut curtains at the panorama below. I can't say I'm as excited as she is. This place feels less like a hotel room and more like a standalone citadel that happens to be built on the hotel's top floor. From the sun-blocking curtains, to the furniture, to the materials of the walls and doors, every last bit is grander than anything you'd normally encounter. And since we rented out the entire floor, we won't be seeing any other guests. Upon closer inspection, I noticed there's even a TV screen that displays an active feed of the first floor lobby. No matter where I look, I'm reminded that this room is reserved only for the most privileged of people. Arkwade speaks cheerfully as she steps away from the window. It's like, Shiki, I bought a little thing called Bitcoin a few years back. My investment has turned around astonishingly. As amazed as she seemed by the view a moment ago, it appears she's already grown tired of the bird's eye view of the city. An exhausted sigh slips out of me. I pause before I finish my sentence. I'm only here to watch over this self-proclaimed vampire while she sleeps. I shouldn't say anything that might complicate it even further. Ain't that the truth of it? Arkwade chuckles as if something's hilarious about the situation. Meanwhile, I'm standing near the door, muscles tensed as I keep a watchful eye on the room. Watching her relax, I realize we couldn't be more opposite from one another right now. Fatigue has spread through every inch of my body. I wish I could rest, but I also know that the second I take a seat on that sofa, I'll doze off. No matter how tired I get, I know better than to let my guard down now.
四季、何か飲む？ここ飲み物がたくさんあるみたい。
Oh god, she can afford the snacks in the minibar. She is rich. A carefree voice calls out to me from the minibar. Needless to say, the bottles Arquade holds up are filled with alcohol. I stop. I have no clue whether she's over the legal drinking age or not, and I don't particularly care to find out either. No matter how exhausted I am, no matter how confusing the situation might be, there are some questions I have to ask her. I need to know what she is, and I need to know how much danger I'm in. I can't even afford to sit on the couch if I don't at least attempt to understand all the weird things happening here.
それより、お前に聞きたいことがある。のんびり休むのはその後だ。
構わないけど、どうしたの？急にかしこまって。
You
do realize I haven't let my guard down even once around you. But that aside...
真面目な話だよ。結局のところ、お前の目的って何なんだ？
私は吸血鬼を追ってるだけよ。吸血鬼殺しが私の役割だから。
ああ、確かにそんなことを言ってた。けど、お前は吸血鬼なんだろ？
何？仕切ったらまだ私のこと信じてないの？
嫌っていうほど信じてるから安心しろ。俺が言いたいのは、どうして吸血鬼であるお前が吸血鬼を殺すのかってことだ。それおかしいだろ、理屈的に。
Well, why do humans kill other humans all the time, huh, Shiki?
あら、シキは同族同士で殺し合うのは嫌いなんだ。
同族じゃなくても願い下げだよ。あのさ、吸血鬼は人間の血を吸う鬼なんだろ？なら殺す対象は人間であって同じ吸血鬼じゃない。お前が殺すのは、その...
Humans, right? The ones whose blood you suck.
吸血行為と殺害行為は別物よ。ま、それでもシキの言いたいことはわかるわ。同じ種族同士、助け合うべきだって言うんでしょ。けど、吸血鬼は同じ親から派生したものであっても、それぞれ異なる進化を遂げた固有種のようなものだから。人間でいうところの仲間意識は希薄なのよ。
じゃあそのお前が探している吸血鬼はお前とは違うっていうのか？
ええ、私とは別種の吸血種。私が追いかけているのは人間の吸血鬼だから、あなたたちが抱くイメージとほぼ一緒よ。人間の血を吸って吸い殺した人間を使い魔にして少しずつ勢力を増やしていくってやつ。朝の使者覚えてるでしょ？あれが吸血鬼に殺された人間の末路。人間として死んだのにまだ死にきれず生かされているリビングデッド。
死んだのに生かされている。
Those corpses I saw in that alley. In stories it said those who get sucked by who get their blood sucked by a vampire get turned into one as well, attacking other humans in turn. That's how they propagate and spread. If this goes unchecked, then a whole town could be turned into a stronghold for the living dead.
ええ、この町に潜んでいるのはそういう吸血鬼。私は血を吸うことに執心はないし、彼らの仲間でもない。だから互いに殺し合うことに問題は発生しない。
Arquade states the words matter-of-factly. I guess there really are all kinds of vampires out there.
今更でゾッとするんだけど、そいつをやっつけるから俺に盾になれなんてことを言ってやがったのか、お前。
ええ、初めはそのつもりだったわ。あなたなんて嫌がっても盾にしてやる。逃げても鎖で縛り付けて散々怖がらせて使い切ってやるって。
Oh yeah, she has Mystic Eyes too.
けど、シキと話をしているうちに気が変わっちゃった。
So she was planning to take me by force. Don't think I'll be forgetting about that.
気が変わったってなんでだよ。
私の勘違いだったから。 私ね、シキ。あなたに殺されて復元するまでの間、あなたは教会の人間だと思っていたの。それなら敵の居場所を掴んでいる可能性もあるし、戦力としても期待できるなって。なのに仕切ったらまるっきり普通の人なんだもん。敵の棺の場所はおろか、吸血鬼のことをまるで知らないし。そもそもあの連中がこんな無神論者の国に代行者を派遣するわけがないし、そもそも一人じゃ動かないものね。師匠と弟子のツーマンセルがあいつらの基本だったわ。
You're telling me the church sends people to work in pairs, huh? Chekhov's pair. Arcade mutters to herself as she paces around the room. She's gotten so sidetracked, it feels like she's forgotten all about me.
とにかく私の標的はあなたから吸血鬼に戻ったってこと。それはそれでちょっと残念な気もするけど。
She manages to say such a terrifying thing in the cheeriest of voices. Shit. She definitely hasn't forgotten what I did to her. I certainly deserve to be despised for murdering her, but it's still bad for my heart to hear her talk so lightly about killing in turn. Maybe she really does intend to kill me the second I let my guard down.
真面目な話は終わり？じゃ、ベッドにドーン！
は？
Before I even get the chance to react, she's off. Arcade bounces over to the bed and plops down onto the soft mattress.
気持ちもいいし、日が沈むまで眠るね。あ、シキも今のうちに休んでおいた方がいいよ。吸血鬼は昼間活動できないから、本格的に見張りをしてもらうのは夜になるんだし。
お前、今自分の存在を全面否定するようなことを言ったって分かってるか？
私はいいの。と、そろそろ限界みたい。それじゃあおやすみなさい、シキ。日が沈んだら起こしてね。
おい！
Arcade falls asleep so abruptly, it's as if someone turned off a car engine.
マジか。
I can hardly believe it, but she's actually asleep. I feel like an idiot for staying next to the door this whole time in case I needed to run. Is this okay? I mean, I'm one to talk, but is she really okay with this? I was practically taken here against my will, but now I could just as easily run away. And don't tell me she's forgotten. Even if I don't feel the same impulse now.
俺は一度お前を殺しているんだぞ。
So how can she doze off like this with me around? I watch her while she sleeps. Peering closely, I notice the slow rise and fall of her chest as she breathes. But other than that, she doesn't move a muscle. It's like I'm looking at a painting. The lids of her eyes are closed in peaceful rest. Her eyelashes are long, and her lips are luscious, even without the slightest touch of lipstick. I trace the curve of her okay. I got really scared until I saw the eyes part. I trace the curve of her plump chest with my eyes, following the line until it meets the flat of her hips like a hill meets the horizon. Her arms are long and slender. She looks innocent, yet sensual all at once, a contradiction I struggle to make sense of. Here she is, vulnerably slumbering away in the hotel's royal suite, trusting me, the person who killed her, to be in the same room with her, despite us having only just met.
バカだな。
She's so ridiculously trusting and honest, I'm frankly a little worried about her. Either way, this is the time to choose. This may be my last chance to turn back. That woman told me to be her shield, but... Okay, well... This be the Arcade route, so stay with Arcade we shall.
約束したからな。
That's right, I did. No matter what happens, I don't intend to break my promises. Arcade is still asleep. I honestly can't tell by looking at her, but she did say she was weakened. She even said she was at her limit earlier, but the real question is whether I should stay or leave. I didn't even have the chance to think on it before. It's quiet in here. We're the only two people in this room, on this entire floor even, though I'll save wondering if it's rude to count self-proclaimed vampires as people for later. I scold myself. After being chased the entire morning, my body is too tired to move properly. Even thinking is exhausting. I tear myself away from the door to sit down. The chair I choose is a tall one, adjacent to the minibar. I find a bottle of mineral water inside and pour myself a glass. The cool water unravels my scrambled thoughts. The wild chain of events this morning had clogged my mind, keeping me from thinking clearly. I should take this chance to carefully decide on my next move. It's my second resigned exclamation of the day. The one before was directed at Arquaid, but this time it's aimed squarely at myself. The sound of her gentle breathing brushes against my ears, pulling my focus away. What is wrong with me? What am I doing, getting all excited and worked up over her at a time like this? I need to leave the room. This must be because the fear that gripped me in the alley still doesn't let me go. I just need to take a deep breath in the hallway, and I'll be fine. This strange heat in my chest will go away. There's not a single other guest or staff wandering the top floor. Arquaid is currently sleeping in the corner room at the end of the hallway. We've got a clear view of whatever would come our way, but it also means we're that much further from the elevators. It's a little past 11 a.m. now. I've doubtlessly already been marked as absent. It'll be a lot of trouble if the school calls the mansion, but there's little more I can do to prevent that. Akia's definitely going to have a thing or two to say about this, but this isn't the time to worry about that. I don't feel good, so I'm skipping. Make up some excuse for me if you can. I send him a loose reason for my absence and hope that he'll rise to my call for help. I'm not begging him to work any miracles, just hoping he can figure something out if the opportunity presents itself. If only I could tell him more about what's happening. There's no way to explain the situation without sounding like a lunatic. Arihiko doesn't need to know more than this. Thinking of a familiar face calmed me down a little. It's time for me to return to the room where the self-proclaimed vampire slumbers. I knew she'd still be asleep, but it'd feel weird to enter the room without a word. The woman in white is sleeping just like she was when I left. It's like she barely moved. She doesn't look the slightest bit threatening in her sleep. If I didn't know any better, I'd say she looked like the princess of some foreign country. I've avoided the sofa long enough. Even though I know I might not get back up again, I take a seat. After all, the sofa is the only place in the room that has a good overview of both the bed and the door. It is just as ridiculously comfortable as I'd anticipated. Its fluffy cushions call to me. I feel like I might just melt into them, but I stop myself. I'm supposed to stand guard, so I can't fall asleep now. Even from here, she's almost nightmarishly beautiful. Her smooth, pale skin, her slender fingers, each one a piece of fine art, the soft curves of her body. Every last detail of her body is without equal, and when put together, the composition is flawless. I've never seen a figure so sublime. No, that's not right. In all my life, I thought I'd never see one. I let out a long sigh as I look up at the ceiling. For all that talk about being a vampire and coming back from the dead, Arquaid is a living creature, one that looks and talks just like a human. And the fact that she's too weak to even get up on her own is all my fault.
自分でしでかしたことの責任は自分で取らないとな。
I think back to what I was taught in my younger days. It was Master who told me, because my eyes are unusual, they may attract other unusual things. It's like stand users. It's about time for me to pull myself together. For now, I need to keep my promise. Tonight, at least, I'll protect her in whatever way I... Assuming bro just passed out here. White. I open my eyes to the color white. The color pulls an old memory from the recesses of my mind. A hot summer day. Huge, fluffy clouds cover the blue sky. The air shimmers with heat, and the keening of cicadas eats at me. The cries of the cicadas. My hands are glistening with red liquid, as if they were dipped in paint. Screech, 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 screech. Cicada husks are scattered around. It feels as if the beating sun is right on top of us, burning, sizzling, scorching the clearing. A hot midsummer day. It's as if the world has warped into one massive frying pan. Sob, sob, sob. Sob, sob, sob. Sob, sob, sob. Akiha is crying. Akiha, who's always following after me, is weeping into her hands. A child is on the ground next to her. The sunlight plays over my slick, wet hands. Yes, my hands are cold. The other child is cold. The red blood painting our world is warm. The adults are here. The other child is dead. The adults are yelling. They scream, asking whether I killed him. A dream forgotten, even within a dream.
Shiki, ほら、目を覚まして。もう日が落ちちゃってるじゃない。
My body is violently shaken from its slumber. A cold hand grips my shoulder as an unfamiliar voice calls to me. Arkwade stands in front of me. The world outside the window is dark. When I glance at the clock, I realize it's already past 8.
あれじゃないわ。日が沈んだら起こしてって言ったのに、仕切ったら眠ってるんだもん。
悪い。寝てたのか、俺。
I'm such a mess. To think I'd fall asleep while watching over her.
もう、そんなんじゃ護衛失格よ。二人とも眠っていたなんて、襲われていたら私もシキも死んでたところよ。
だから悪いって言ってるだろ。でもほら、昼間は安全だって言ったのはお前じゃないか。
絶対とは言い切れないわ。朝みたいに使い魔がやってくることだってあるんだから。
Arkwade is mad. Of course, she has every right to be. A guard who falls asleep during his watch is no more useful than a scarecrow.
それにね、私だって吸血鬼なんだよ、シキ。なのにどうして身の危険とか感じないで眠っちゃったりできるのかな。少しは緊張して眠れないとか、恐れ敬うとか、そういう反応してもいいんじゃない？
I'm sorry, lady, you're too funny to be scary, at least, like, right now. I take back my apology. She seems more upset at the fact I wasn't too terrified to fall asleep near her than my failure as a guard.
体も少しは動くようになって目を覚ましてみれば、仕切ったら幸せそうに眠ってるじゃない。あんまりにも無防備だから、 吸血種として威厳がないのかなって本気で不安になったんだから。
なんだよ、無防備なのはそっちだって同じだろ。俺だって一度はお前を殺してるんだぞ。今回だってそうしないとは限らないのに、お姫様みたいにグースか寝やがって。人間だからって甘く見るなよな。
I bite back at her, like a trapped mouse squeaking at a cat. It's really just a bitter attempt to save face, and yet... Arkwade falls silent, apparently only having just realized she's rooming with her murderer.
そういえばそうよね。なんでだろう。なんとなくね、路地裏で式と話しているうちに信用しきってたみたい。
Well, it's not like she has any bad intentions.
そうか。そこまで信用されてるなら、それなりに努力はする。あとはずっと見張っていればいいのか。
ええ、とりあえず朝日が昇るまでね。私は部屋から出ないから、式は誰かがこのフロアにやってくるようだったらよ。
Easier said than done. If something like that panther shows up again, I'm not sure what I'd be able to do about it. I'm way out of my league here. I can't exactly do my job as a bodyguard without knowing what I'm up against first. It might be best if I continue where we left off last time. Panthers and burning zombies aside, I still know pretty much nothing about Arkwade, or who she's hunting.
確認するぞ、アルクエイド。路地裏で襲ってきた奴らは、お前の敵が差し向けた奴なのか。
差し向けたというより巡回ね。一定のルートで街を監視するのがあいつらの役割だったんでしょう。その巡回ルートで私と式が話し込んでいたから、結果的に私がいるってバレちゃったみたい。
バレちゃったって、お前の敵に？
そう。体調が万全なら手間が省けてよかったんだけど、今の私じゃ逆に倒されかねない。だから式と一緒にここまで逃げたの。体力が戻る前に襲われたら撃つ手はないから。
Arkwade's enemy is the serial killer that's been terrorizing this town, another vampire. From the sound of it, the vampire is after Arkwade as well. Though they don't seem to be on a level playing field right now. Arkwade is still extremely weak.
そして敵とやらには手足になる部下がいて、お前には誰もいないと。
Arkwade pouts and pulls her shoulders up in a huff. She isn't refuting it. That must mean she really is alone. Well, I guess that makes it easier for me.
お前、さっき吸血鬼はそれぞれ個体差があるって言ってたけど、これはそういう話なんだろ。じゃあ、仲間がたくさんいる吸血鬼ってのはどんなやつなんだ？
それは、どうすれば簡単に説明できるかな。
Arkwade's eyes wander over the ceiling as she thinks. It doesn't feel like she's that used to conversation.
いいよ、難しいままで。話せることなら何でもいいから話してくれ。俺もわけがわからないけど、なんとか話の筋を見極めるから。
そう？ありがとう、式。
はいはい。俺はいいから続けてくれ。
Arkwade nods earnestly.
仲間がたくさんいると言っても何パターンかあるんだけど、この町に潜んでいる人は古いタイプの吸血鬼よ。
Props to Nasu for coming up with like the coolest naming conventions for vampires. Fucking dead apostles, true ancestors. Love it so much. Sudden whiteboard event.
教会風に言うなら上司の吸血鬼ね。
Castellan.
この上司は段階に分けて村や町を侵していくわ。まずは初手、進行1。能力的に優れた人間を見繕ってその血を吸ってしもべにする。吸血鬼に血を吸われた人間は死んで上司の操り人形になるけど、人間だった頃のパーソナリティも残している。要は人格の残った死体ね。使徒の改定で言うと3段階目の上級の使い魔ってところ。
Right off the bat, there's a bunch of stuff I don't understand. But at least my mind's feeling a lot clearer after that nap. I'm just gonna skip past all the terminology I didn't understand and go straight to the few words I did.
人格の残った死体。要は人間のまま吸血鬼になるってこと。
三海底じゃ吸血鬼とは言えないかな。人間以上の体になったけど、まだ子を作ることはできない働きありの司令塔ぐらいと思って。
じゃあ路地裏で出てきたやつらは。
あれはもう一個下、二階底目の式。
Okay, so undead and ghouls are different things.
人間への擬態もできない、命じられたことをこなすだけの労働力よ。
Getting a little carried away with her explanation, Arkwade has gone and outlined different types of vampires on the board. She's surprisingly multi-talented.
都市の人間をある程度の数しもべにした上司は棺を用意して眠りにつく。日中は活動できないし、何より上司の吸血鬼は活動するだけで目立つから、食料の備蓄、勢力拡大はしもべたちに任せるの。かくして三海底より上のしもべたちは人間に期待して少しずつ他の人間たちを捕食していく。人間の血肉はしもべたちの活動源にもなるけど、その大半は上司に送られる。上司は棺で眠ったまま力を蓄え、最後にはコミュニティごと自分の血肉に変えてしまう。これがこの町に潜んでいる者の特性よ。今はまだしもべの数が少ないから大した能力はないんだけど、犠牲者が増えれば増えた分だけ上司の力は増していく。その前に棺を見つけて倒してしまえばいいんだけど、私はまだ敵の寝床さえ見つけられていない。今回はよっぽど巧妙に隠れてるのか、気配さえ感じない。寝床を見つけちゃえば片付けるのは簡単なんだけどね。今回は手がかりがない状態だから、仕方なく昼間から街を歩いて調べていたの。そうしていたら通りすがりの殺人鬼に襲われちゃって、まあ大変。
Arkwade claps her hands together and punctuates her sentence with a bright smile. Oh my lordy, that definitely looks a lot closer to like OG Shiki's design, especially the glasses. Uh-huh, that's me she's talking about. I swallow uncomfortably.
なるほど。とりあえず話は見えてきた。この町には人間を食い物にする化け物が救っていて、アルクエイドはそれを退治しに来た。けどそいつの居場所を探している時に、俺にやられちまって、今は弱っているから回復するまで隠れてる。
うん、簡単にまとめるとそういうことかな。
I love, oh, got a hitch in the PC there for a second. What was I gonna say? Oh, I love Nasu's writing is very prone to doing the thing that Futurama made a joke about, where they're like, oh, we have all this techno babble, but then we can sum it up with a simple simile. Where then they're like, oh, we'll do all this sciencey stuff. It's like putting too much air into a balloon. It's like you have all this terminology and then you just boil it down to a simple scenario.
じゃあ次。その敵とやらは何だってそんな回りくどいことをするんだ。しもべなんか作らずに全部一人でやればいいじゃないか。
単純に弱いからよ。どれほどの懲罰能力、どれほどのライフスケールを持った吸血鬼でも一人では生きられない。弱点が多い彼らは決して表舞台に長居はしない。だから脆弱だけど弱点の少ない人間を使い魔にして安全圏から血を集める。言ってしまうとリスク回避ね。
弱点が多いね。具体的には
Garlic, cross.
日の光、魔力枯渇が主だけど、最大の弱点はそうね、敵が多いということかしら。
敵が多い。 それはお前みたいな。
私は例外というか特例よ。吸血鬼はね、人間に嫌われているの。人間の最大の武器は数と共有でしょ。いるのよ、世界には吸血鬼が事件を起こせば駆けつけてくる吸血鬼を殺すことだけを目的とした人間が。特に陰湿で執念深いのが教会。西欧を中心にした宗教の異端狩り。主の意志を人の手で代行するなんてお題目から代行者と呼ばれているわ。
It's always just the church, like capital C. Like, guys, you can just say they're Catholics. It's
もう
fine.
何百年も使徒を殺す技術を磨いてきた人間たちでね、こいつらは下手な吸血鬼より厄介よ。だから吸血鬼は一旦隠れるの。いちいち相手をしていたら血も集まらないし、何より封印される危険性があるから。
Hunters sent by a church. Sounds like the Inquisitions and witch hunts of the Middle Ages. They must be incredible specialists to make even vampires hide and cower in fear. But something still has me scratching my head.
一旦隠れる。つまり血をたくさん集めてしまえば隠れる必要はない。
そうよ、力さえつけてしまえば隠れる必要はない。教会の代行者たちがやってこようと後の祭り、吸血鬼はその町で貯めた資産で暴虐の限りを尽くす。そうして町を完全に食い物にした後、また新しい狩り場を求めて移動する。あなたたち人間が吸血鬼を排除したかったら、それは事件が起きる前に気づくしかない。吸血鬼事件なんてものが起きた時点で、その町は根元から腐っている。四季には悪いけど、もう何人ものしもべが徘徊しているこの町は、あなたたち人間の手では回復できない状況よ。
Arcwade's explanation is a little hard for me to swallow. I mean, I understand what she's trying to say, but understanding and accepting are two very different things. She can't just tell me that my town is beyond saving and expect me to nod along like, okay, sure. Though the problem feels much more fundamental here.
やっぱり俺には信じられない。
何よ、私が
That's a
死を
good
騙して
face.
るって言いたいの？
いや、そうじゃないよ。アルクエイドの話は全部本当だってわかる。お前、嘘とかつけないだろ。
当たり前じゃない。その必要性がないんだもの。
だからさ、俺はお前が信じられないじゃなくて、吸血鬼ってものがわからないんだよ。気軽に吸血鬼と言うけど、まだピンとこない。確かにお前は人間じゃない。それだけはわかる。でも、だからって吸血鬼とか言われても実感が湧かないんだ。
そういえばそうね。四季の知ってる吸血鬼像と私という吸血鬼像は大きく違うし。
ああ、そういうことだ。俺は吸血鬼なんてものが本当にいるってことより、吸血鬼がこんなやつだなんて想像もしなかった。古いタイプとか言われてもお手上げだ。お前とそいつらの違いもわからない。
I finally managed to figure out what's been bothering me. I can't continue this conversation without understanding what differentiates her from other vampires. It would be wrong of me to trust her without good reason. If anything, it's entirely possible that she poses an even bigger threat than this Castellan.
そっか。人間から見ればそうよね。どっちも未知なら、どっちも同じくらい危険に見えるってことか。いいわ。それじゃあ今回はさらに特別授業。
Oh no, I have heard this music over that sprite of her with like a goofy ass smile for so long that I'm just like, God, her head is just empty, isn't it?
吸血鬼基礎編について教えてあげましょう。
Arcwade proudly holds up a finger.
いいけどさ、なんだよその基礎編って。
四季は素人だから、吸血鬼なら子猫でも知っているようなことから始めないといけないでしょ。だから基礎編。大丈夫。先輩としてバシッと教えてあげるから。
Somehow I don't believe you. Teacher, since when? got to admit it feels a little condescending for her to explain this to me like I was some kind of kid.
オーケー。とりあえず手短に頼むよ。
任せて。できる限り努力するわ。
I'm not sure if I feel all that ready to leave it to her. Like I observed before, Arcade really doesn't seem that used to conversing with others. I guess a self-proclaimed vampire doesn't get too many chances to talk to humans. Glancing at the clock, I notice it's a little before midnight. Oh my... So in canon, that took like, what was it, 4 hours? Because he said it was before 8 when he woke up. Jesus. I'm kind of shocked that so much time has passed already, but luckily for us, we've still got plenty of time to kill.
まずは種類分けね。一般に吸血鬼とは言うけど、大きく2つのものに分けられるわ。元から吸血鬼だったものと、後から吸血鬼になったもの。前者を神祖と言って、後者を使徒と呼ぶの。あなたたちが吸血鬼と呼んでいるのは使徒の方。さっきの海底の話も使徒の生態系ね。人間の血を吸い、しもべにして、太陽の光に弱く、洗礼儀式の前に敗退する。私たちの敵も使徒と区別される。
Nope. Again, not a fan of that, like, fast forward to the start of the page button. I keep hitting it with my leg. I can't help but notice that at some point, her enemy has become our enemy, but I guess that's how it is for now, so I decide to let it pass.
その使徒ってのは初めから吸血鬼じゃないって言ったけど、それはどういうことだ？
使徒は人間とか動物とか、とにかくもともとは吸血種ではなかった者たちよ。魔術の果てに不老になった者か、血を吸われてしもべになった者とがいる。まあ、どっちの場合も結果は同じだけど。吸血鬼になった者は不完全ながらも不老不死の肉体を手に入れて人間のカテゴリーから外されるの。
So we've got true ancestors, which are natural-born vampires, as well as dead apostles, which are humans who turned into vampires. I can't quite put my finger on it. Something about the story still seems fundamentally off to me.
ねえ、シキ、あなたは吸血鬼の特徴をどのくらい知ってるの？
ありきたりのイメージしか持ってないよ。処女の血を吸ったり、睨むだけで金縛りにしたり、霧になったり、狼に変わったりするあたりが一般的に聞く吸血鬼のイメージだけど。
うん、大体は合ってるかな。処女の血を吸うというのは、まだ他の人間と体液の交換をしていない血液が彼らの遺伝子を補うのに適しているから。通常の血液より栄養がある程度の違いね。
Sucking a virgin's blood is the equivalent of going to the organic section at the supermarket.
使徒、後天的に吸血鬼になった者は不完全な不老不死なの。確かに不老で死ににくい動的な細胞を持つ生命体に変貌した。けど、それは燃え盛る火のようなもので、エネルギーを常に補充しないと消えてしまう。
So they have the munchies for eternity.
どんな生物だって栄養を取らないと活動できないでしょ？それと同じよ。ただ、吸血種は食事、栄養さえ取り続けていれば寿命がないということだけ。使徒たちのような吸血鬼になった吸血鬼はね、自分が生きていくのに必要だから血を吸うの。もともとは人間だったから不老不死の肉体というのは無理があるのよ。彼らの肉体を構成する遺伝子は長生きすればするほど、力をつければつけるほど原子の増大に耐えられなくなる。力を増やし続けないと崩壊してしまうくせに、力をつけすぎると自己の形、秩序を保てない。それを補うためにはどうするか。 簡単よ。他から自分のような異常な秩序ではない正常な秩序を取り込んで失われていく秩序を補完していけばいい。人間が食事に有機化合物を好むのと一緒。
Oh no, I literally... I'm too clued on how Nasu thinks.
吸血鬼は血液からその正常な遺伝情報やカロリーを採集する。魂の熱量と言い換えてもいいわ。
Low calorie souls.
要は人間の血を吸ってその遺伝情報を取り込むことで自身の肉体を固定してるってこと。
Is vampirism just a pyramid scheme?
使徒にとって吸血は食事や力のプールであるのと同時に存在のために必要不可欠な行為なの。
The explanation makes my head spin with both its complexity and length. I'm not following this at all, but Arcwade carries right along.
で次は睨むだけで金縛りにするってやつね。これは魔眼の一種よ。眼球は便利で強力な魔術回路だから魔眼を持つ吸血種は多いわ。思考性の魔力放出機能が分かりやすいかな。目からそうね、ビームっていうの、ああいうのを出すイメージ。
出るのかビーム。
Arcwade said something so outrageous, I can't help but jump up from my seat.
出ないと思う。いくらなんでもそんな意味不明な吸血鬼はいないと思う。あくまでイメージの話ね。
I'm relieved, and also a little disappointed. Bro's like, I want to see some laser eyes, though.
っていうか魔眼ってなんだよ。
特別な目のこと。魔術回路を使用してシングルアクションの魔術を放出する異能。まあ技術みたいなものね。ほら、人間には剣術とかあるでしょ。あれと同じ。いろいろな種類があるけど使徒であれば誰でも使える技法みたいなものよ。もっとも鍛えたところで威力は術者の個体差、才能に左右されるけどね。私たち吸血鬼が持つのは魅惑の魔眼。これが基本にして最も強力というか、吸血鬼というあり方において魅惑以外の魔眼はあんまり意味がないというか。魅惑の魔眼は見た相手を魅惑するんじゃなくて吸血鬼の目を見てしまった相手を魅惑するの。強力な吸血鬼は魔眼で相手の脳に意志を叩きつけてその思考を完全に掌握するんだけど、まあそこまでの魔眼を保持する人は稀かな。
Huh. That sounds like hypnosis or brainwashing. You could go up to someone and tell them to forget everything they saw. With a power like that, you could cover up any murder, even if there were witnesses at the scene.
理屈はさておいて、要は目を見たらまずいってこと。
うん、よくできました。だから吸血鬼と向かい合った時は顔じゃなくて全体を俯瞰するのが基本よ。相手と目線を合わせるなんて自殺行為だからね。次は霧になるだっけ。これも2種類に分類されるかな。高等なのは本当に粒子化するもの。自己を拡散させて減少になるという離れ技。これが広範囲かつ長時間できる人は数えるほどしかいないはずで、下等なのは目くらましね。影武者の方が分かりやすいかな。用心深い吸血鬼は分身を作ってそれに意識を乗せて活動する。用が済んだら分身を操る魔力をカットするんだけど、それが塵になって無産することから霧になって消えたように見えるだけ。
So she actually knows about Kagemusha. She might be a vampire from some foreign country, but she's surprisingly knowledgeable about Japanese culture.
他の動物に変わるっていうのは破損した肉体を使いまで補っている副産物ね。長い年月を生きた吸血鬼ほど崩壊する肉体の保管は通常の命では間に合わない。だから力のある獣を取り込んでそれを体として使っている。
This is just watching someone become a furry in real time. They have parts of them that are missing, then all of a sudden, the wolf fills in what's left.
必要な時はその獣を元に戻して刺激するから狼になった狼を出したように見える。
Dang, wouldn't it be cool if there was a guy who was made up of 666 different beasts?
人たちは命のリペアとして古い獣を1匹ぐらいは体に取り込んでいる。けどそれが限界。あんまり多く取り込むと今度は吸血鬼の自我が獣と混濁してしまう。使徒の中でも複数の獣を使い魔にしているやつは1人だけ。そいつももう消えたけど。
I don't believe you. I know he's not in this game, but Nero must be making a comeback. Surely.
こんなところかな。式が一体名詞をもとにざっと概要だけを説明したけど、吸血鬼がどんなものか分かってもらえた？乱暴なまとめだけど、とにかく人の形をした人と同じ地勢構造をした吸血種を吸血鬼と呼ぶの。その中身がどれだけ異物でも基本形態が人なら吸血鬼として問題ないわ。
I feel like I understand less than ever. After hearing just how monstrous vampires can be, it's even harder to believe that the woman standing in front of me could be one.
じゃあ次は私の番ね。実を言うと私も大事なことを聞き忘れてた。
なんだよ。俺に聞くようなことは何もないだろう。俺は吸血鬼でも何でもない。ただの学生なんだから。
ふん。それじゃあ聞くけどシキ、あなたどうやって私を殺したの？
は？
だからどんな手段を使ったのかって聞いてるの。ルーンやカバラあたりの秘術には抗体ができているから効かないし、抗体耐性ができてないもの。私がまだ経験したことのない魔術となると、この国の古神道と南米の秘宝ぐらいのものよ。
Arquaid, you need to stay away from Brazil.
いえ、それだってあそこまで私を殺しておくことはできない。答えてシキ、あなたはどんな年代物の神秘で私を再起不能にしてくれたの？
いや、年代物の神秘って何のことだ？
I can tell Arquaid is dead serious, but I legitimately have no idea what she's talking about.
だから概念武装のことよ。歴史と想念を蓄えた触媒。この国にも神器ってあるんでしょ？大抵は宝条や剣、宝石や仮面を使用する魔術霊装のことだけど。ねえシキ、あなた本当にそっちの方面の人じゃないの？
そっち方面も何も、俺はただの学生だって言ったじゃないか。知ってることなんて何もないよ。
嘘よ。魔術師でもない人間が私を傷つけることなんてできないわ。シキ、私に隠していることあるでしょ？
Arquaid glares at me like an angry cat. But no matter how she looks at me, it's not like I have anything to hide. Wait, I do.
すまん。実を言うと一つあったっぽい。けど関係あるのかなこれ。
Arquaid keeps glaring at me. The only way to resolve this is by confessing the truth.
なんて言ったらいいのかな。俺さ、物の切れる線が見えるんだよ。
切れる線？
Exactly what I expected. There's no way she'd believe that. No one ever does. That's just the way it's always been.
それどういう意味？
Arquaid responds with total seriousness.
だから物の切れる線が見えるんだよ。生き物とか地面とか、とりあえず触れられるものなら全部。 亀裂みたいでさ、それに刃物を通すとあっさり切断できるんだけど、これ意味あるか？鉄をナイフ程度で切れるのは便利だけど、別に好きなところが切れるわけじゃないんだ。線が見えてるところしか切れないから日曜大工にも使えない。お前を切った時だってそのナイフなら女の肌ぐらい切れるだろう。
Oh no, she locked in. A chill runs down my spine. Her gaze is intense enough to bring my breathing to a halt.
そう、直視の魔眼なんて童話の中だけの話と思ってたけど、いるところにはいるものね。
Yeah, baby, Mystic Eyes at Depth Perception. Let's
あなたみたい
go.
な突然変異の化け物が。
なんだよそれ。俺は吸血鬼に化け物なんて言われる筋合いはないぞ。
化け物は化け物でしょ。物の死を見る魔眼なんて私たちでさえ保有している者はいないんだから。
物の死を見る。
それ以外の何だっていうの？四季、あなたの目は生物としてつながってはいけない場所と回線が開いているんでしょうね。その目は生まれついてのものなの？
いや、こうなったのは昔からだけど、生まれついてのものじゃない。
それじゃあ以前一度ぐらい死んでみたことがあるでしょ。
お前じゃあるまいし、そう簡単に死ねるか。でもまあそうだよ。以前事故で死にかけた。線が見えるようになったのはその後からだ。
潜在的な素質もあったんだろうけど、きっかけはそれでしょうね。確かにそれなら間違いなく私を殺せるわ。
Merkwaite huffs a little and turns her gaze away from me. Even though she turns from me with clear distaste, I'm somewhat grateful she's no longer staring at me with those eyes of hers.
アルクエイド、お前この線が何だか知ってるのか？
実際に知覚できるあなたほどじゃないけど、知識としてなら説明できるわ。あなたが見ているものはね、万物の結果、物の死にやすい箇所なのよ。もっとわかりやすく言うのなら、あらゆる存在の死期、死そのものよ。
That's pretty close to what Master told me before she gave me my glasses. The end of all things, the inevitable future of creation. All this time I didn't see it. I did everything I could not to.
何言ってんだ。俺が見てる線なんて、ただそこが切れるだけのものじゃないか。
だからその線が死なの。いい意識、ありとあらゆるものには終わりがある。それがいつになるかは個別差があるけど、とにかく果てというものはある。死は到来するものではなく、誕生した瞬間に内包していて、いつか発現するものよ。それが原因と結果。因果律って言葉聞いたことあるでしょ？ここにある以上、それは必ず消えなくてはいけない。原子の流動、エネルギーの約束ごとね。たった一つの例外、ほんの小さな間違いも秩序は許容しない。だってそんなものがあったら、この宇宙の前提が崩れてしまうんだもの。それこそ泡のように消えてしまうわ。
No way. I mean, she's bringing the universe into this? How is that relevant?
見当違いじゃない。あなたの目はそれぐらい最悪な目ってこと。いい？消滅は万物にあらかじめ設計された決まりなの。どんなに長い寿命、どんなに強大な生命にだってこれはある。たとえ宇宙の寿命より長い寿命を持つ生命があるとしても、それは無限に生き続けるわけじゃない。この定められた消滅が物の式で、それは初めからあるわけだから、式という概念を理解できる機能、それと回線が合っている脳髄と眼球があるのなら、目で見ることは不可能じゃない。それがあなたの見ている線の正体よ。あえてあなたたち風に理論づけるのなら、原子結合の宿命的欠陥部分というところかしらね。
Yes, sir, that's my MC slicing atoms like no one's business.
それとも、その個体の死因を発現させる遺伝子に用意されたテロメア的なスイッチかな。 とにかくあなたが見ているのは物の死にやすい線、死という結論そのものよ。よくそんな状態で今まで生きてこれたものだわ。よっぽどあなたは心が穏やかなんでしょうね、四季。
Arkwade speaks in a detached, matter-of-fact voice. She doesn't know anything about me, so I wish she wouldn't joke around. I understand what she's saying, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with any of it.
そんなものあるはずがないし、まして見えるわけがない。
あなたには見えてるじゃない。普通生物は首を切ったら殺されるわ。これは切断したから停止したということよね。逆に言えば首を切断できない生物は殺されないということになる。あ、これは私のことだから例外にしておいて。あなたはその決まり事を無視できるのよ。あらゆる外的要因を無効化する者が相手でもまず殺す。殺された相手はその後で死んだ状態になるんでしょうね。切断したから殺害できたじゃない。あなたの場合は物を殺害したからその結果として対象が切断される。ほら、これが化け物でなくて何だというの。物が切れるだけの線って言うけど、その両目は今まで生まれてきたどんな異能より得意なものよ。あなたはね、四季、あらゆるものを殺してしまう死神みたいな目を持っているんだから。
She's right. That's exactly why I've been in denial, why I've spent so long trying to ignore the existence of the lines. The truth is, I've known for a long time. It's exactly like she says, my eyes, my life, they are nothing more than a blemish on this earth, a mistake. Ever since that day, I've borne witness to a dying world. I've been forced to know that everything I see could crumble in a mere moment. All this time, omens of death have been with me every step of the way.
じゃあ何か俺はお前だって殺せることになるぞ。何でも殺す物騒なやつなんだからな。
そう？じゃあ試しにやってみよっか。
Arkwade turns the lights in the room off and moves to the window. She slides the curtains open. Outdoor light spills through the glass, allowing me to see again. The woman in white is framed by the pale moonlight.
ほら、いいから本気になってみて。あ、もしかしてそのメガネで見えないようにしてるの？
いいんだな。
It's a peculiar thing, really. I've never taken my glasses off in front of someone before, but still I raise my hand to remove them. All of Arquade's accusations must have put me on edge. Urged by my own frustration, I take my glasses off. Lines start to squirm and stretch across the room. My world is filled with death. I'm witnessing a miracle. I can hardly believe it. The moon shines a pearl white. The lines that had been so faint during the daytime appear to almost glow under the moonlight. But in the middle of it all, the lines on Arquade's body are so faint that if I weren't concentrating, I probably wouldn't even have noticed them.
そんなどうして？
どう？線はほとんど見えないでしょ？私ね、夜は四季のない生き物なの。だからあなたの目でも殺すことは不可能でしょうね。それでもちょっとは見えちゃうのかな。夜は死なない私だけど、昼間は多少の四季ができてしまう。その弱点を突かれて私はあなたに殺された。あの時は大仕事の後だったし、即死体制も落ちてたしね。
I'm trying to see if there are actually any lines there. Because they're saying like, oh, the lines are there, but they're really faint. Or at the very least, I'm not seeing anything.
結果、私はあなたに殺されて、この通り、夜でも四季ができるほど弱ってしまった。要するに不老不死で亡くなったわけだけど、四季、私の体の線が切れる？
I wonder if I could. If there's a line, I can cut it. But looking at her now, I'm not sure if I could slice through her as easily as I did then, in a fraction of a second.
やりにくいと思う。線が見えたり見えなかったりするから、アルクエドが眠ってでもいない限り。
でしょ？それがあなたの最大の欠点ね。どんなに死が見えていようとも、その線を引くのはシキ自身の腕じゃないといけない。いくら私が弱ってるからって、シキに捕まるほど運動能力は低下してないもの。
She's right. I couldn't even keep up with a speedy animal, let alone catch one. And if I can't catch my prey first, then there's no way I'm cutting through its lines either. Which means even if I see the lines, I can't kill something that moves. Just as her words alleviate my deepest fears, the vampire laughs. Right. It's funny. It's all a big, comforting joke. No matter how many hypotheticals she makes, or how many of my flaws are pointed out, nothing will change the way I see the world. I'm broken. I'm something that should get mixed in with the rest of this world. But despite that, when I'm faced with this incredible, impossible being, it feels like everything I'd taken for granted gets thrown out the window. She's like a magnificent flower caressed by the moonlight. It's not like I wanted eternity. All I wanted was for something I could touch, for something that could give me the hope I needed to keep living. Sharp pain stabs at my brain. The lines make my head throb. I put my glasses back on and trade my miraculous view for the ordinary world. Arkwade eyes me suspiciously.
なんだよ。まだ何かあるのか。
ううん、そうじゃなくて、そのメガネをかけていれば線は見えないの？
まあ、そうだけど、昔俺の目がこうなった時に出会った人がくれたんだ。今じゃレンズだけしか使ってないけど、これのおかげでなんとか普通に生活が送れてるんだよ。
そっか、そうよね。どんなに強い心があったって、死とずっと向き合っていたら発狂するか、眼球を潰すしかないものね。
あのな、さっきから言いたい放題物騒なことばっかり言いやがって。少しは遠慮してくれ。あと近い。止まれ。いいからそこで止まれ。止まらないと花瓶投げるぞ。
Lady, get out of my personal space. I retreat, sensing the impending danger. But my threat falls on deaf ears. Arkwade can sometimes resile a giant cat, one whose curiosity isn't easily sated.
ねえ、それ見せて。
嫌だ。これは大事なものだから。
別に壊したりしないってば。
The fact that you say that makes me think you're going to,
ねえ
though.
ねえ、本当に見るだけだからいいでしょ。
Why is she talking like that? I relent and hand them over? I'm not handing my glasses over. No way. I apologize, Arkwade. I feel like you're not going to treat them well. She's definitely up to something. The fact that she, completely unprompted, claims she wouldn't break them is highly suspicious.
見るだけでもダメ。路地裏の時にお前のバカ力は思い知らされたからな。何かの弾みで握りつぶされたらどうしようもない。
何よバカ力って。路地裏の時は当然でしょ。そういう風に力を上げていたんだから。普段であれば式の方が力は上だろうし、そうむやみに物を壊したりはしないんだけどな。また
Arkwade steps closer and closer as she tells me this, her hand raised ominously and slowly inching toward my glasses. She's 100% planning to grab them and make a break for it. Before this turns straight into a scene out of a horror movie, I quickly drop down on the sofa and out of her reach.
逃げた。
そりゃ逃げる。お前の無茶には慣れつつあるけど、このメガネだけは渡さないからな。万が一にも壊されたりしたら替えがないんだ。それとも弁償してくれるのか？
大抵の魔術品なら当てがあるけど、それはちょっと無理っぽい感じ。わかりましたよーと、式のケチ。
By her childish response, I get the sense she might have only been interested in them because I said they were important to me.
はいはい、ケチですよだ。人間は生き返ったりできないから何事も慎重なんです。だいたいこのメガネがなくなったら俺はお前に協力するどころの話じゃなくなる。四六時中線が見えてたら頭痛で頭がどうにかしそうだし。
死が見えてると脳に負担がかかるのかしらね。式の目は何かと原因がありそうだけど、とりあえず今はこれぐらいかな。機会があったらもう少し詳しく教えてあげるわ。
結構だよ。あいにく長話は嫌いでね。
そう？私は誰かと話すのって好きだけどな。意図が半分も伝わらない不自由な言葉でもこんなに心が揺れるんだもの。
Arkwade beams an honest, unreserved smile. It really looks like the simple act of conversing is enough to make her happy. The night drags on. Arkwade is seated on the bed. I'm on the sofa, aimlessly staring at the clock. It's just past 4 a.m. Only an hour or so to go until sunrise. Nothing out of the ordinary has happened so far, and Arkwade doesn't look the slightest bit nervous. The hotel is perfectly peaceful. Dog, stop saying these things. I've been pretty nervous myself, but it's starting to look like I didn't need to be. It's nice. I have a feeling the night will pass uneventfully just like this. For the umpteenth time this night, Arkwade calls out to me.
なんだよ。もう話すこととかないからな、こっちは。
そうなの？せっかくこうしてるのにもったいないね。
さっきからどれだけおしゃべりに付き合ってると思ってるんだ。6時間だぞ、6時間。何が疲れたかって、見張りなんかよりそっちの方が疲れたよ、俺は。
Arkwade shoots me a dissatisfied pout. It's been like this all night. For whatever reason, Arkwade just keeps talking to me. I told her that if she's so weak, she should just get some sleep instead, but... How did we end up like this? I really have no idea what's going through her mind. On top of that, I'm starting to get hungry. Now that I think about it, it's been nearly an entire day since I ate something. The last meal I had was yesterday's breakfast.
せっかくホテルに泊まってるんだからルームサービスを使えばいいのに。
いえ、緊張感がそがれる。そういうお前の方こそ何か食べた方がいいんじゃないか。
式がいいなら私もやめとく。普通の食事もそれなりに意味はあるけど、一人で食べてもつまらないもの。
普通の食事って食事に普通も特別も。
Right. She doesn't look like one, but she's still a vampire. Her meals would normally consist of human blood. She said it herself, vampires need human blood to survive, which means she's drunk the blood of others before. I wonder how many humans she's killed in her life. I steal a glance at Arkwade. I just can't wrap my head around it. No matter how many times she explains the intricacies of vampires to me, I just can't imagine her drinking blood. I quickly look away. It's her turn to stare at me now. The corners of her lips pull up into a mischievous grin.
何が？
私がどのくらいの数、人間から血を吸ったのか気になる？
She saw right through me. Her happy, smug smile is enough to unsettle me. I don't like it, but I can't deny that I'm morbidly curious as to how many people she's killed.
そりゃ気になるよ。俺はお前と協力してるんだ。それぐらい知っとかないと、いつお前が心変わりして襲いかかってくるか予測が。
It's a legitimate concern to have. Arcade nods along, seemingly satisfied with my reasoning.
それじゃあ問題。私は今まで何人の血を吸ってきたでしょう。
Arcade hops off the bed with a bounce and heads it back over to the window.
何人のって。
Arcade smiles sweetly. She seems to be enjoying herself. She's clearly trying to get a rise out of me. Fine, I'll play this game. This strange woman has to have killed 10, 100, or 1,000. I know the real answer already because of the OG, but let's keep it low to keep her happy. Let's say 10.
10人は少ない。
はい、全然惜しくないはずれね。
じゃあ100単位か。
残念、日和切ったはずれです。
なら1000単位なのか。
はい、それも豪快に外れだわ。
Arcade chuckles softly to herself. I'm not angry with her, but I am starting to feel very frustrated.
じゃあそんなことはないと思うけど、まさか万。
それも外れ。もう10だの100だの1000だのって式は私のことそういう風に見てたわけね。
違うのか。吸血鬼ってのは見境なしなんだろう。人間だって生きてるだけで腹が減るんだ。お前たちだって生きていくために血を吸うんなら際限はないんじゃないのか。
そうね、それはそうなんだけど、私は自分から血を吸うなんてこの800年一度もないかな。普通の人間を殺したことだって一度もないよ。
Such a weird thing to hear a vampire to say. One too many twos in that sentence. But I still find myself asking the question.
それ本当の話か。
本当よ。だって私血を吸うのが怖いんだもの。
血を吸うのが怖いって吸血鬼なのに。
きっと臆病なのよ、私は。だからいつまで経っても吸血鬼としても半人前ってこと。
Arcade utters the words as she idly glances out the window. She pauses to gaze at the night sky in a drawn-out moment of quiet. As I watch her, it feels like she's becoming less distinct. A hazy phantasm drifting away.
そっか。半人前なんだ。
Just muttering those words provides an odd relief. Wait, why does it feel like a load has been taken off my shoulders? That's weird, right? Yup, it's definitely weird.
どうかしたの、式？
別に何でもない。お前が臆病なチキンだから笑っただけ。
チキン？私、なんで鳥？
Arcade tilts her head in confusion. She really doesn't look like a vampire in the slightest. It's only natural for me to be relieved. How could I not be? It turned out that the person in front of me isn't anywhere near as evil as I'd feared. If what she says is true, then there's no reason for me to worry about Arcade spontaneously killing me. And it's not just my newfound sense of safety that's bringing me relief. There must be something wrong with me. The idea that Arcade doesn't count herself as a full-fledged vampire is what has me the happiest of all. I can't believe I was so wrong about her this whole time.
あれ？
Just as I'm able to relax around Arcade, I'm struck by a sharp sense of pain and vertigo. My vision is blanketed by a white haze. This isn't the same as my anemia. I'm still thinking too clearly for that. A strange cold chill accompanies my headache.
どうしたのよ、式？そんなに額に汗を浮かべちゃって。
汗。
I wipe the back of my hand across my forehead as I reply, and I'm met with far more wet, sticky sweat than I'd anticipated. This is weird. Judging by the sweat, you'd think I was in a sauna. As if urged by the pool of anxiety welling up in my chest, my eyes dart to the digital clock. It's 4:32 a.m. Too early for the sun to beat back against the chilly night air. The clock itself still lists the current temperature outside as a cool 11 degrees Celsius. Alright. Let's see here. 11 Celsius to Fahrenheit for my filthy American senses. 51 degrees. Oh. God, what I wouldn't give for temperatures like that right now. It's way too cold for me to start breaking a sweat like this. So then why does this room feel like I'm standing outside on a hot summer day?
アルクエド、お前暑くないのか？
別に活動に異常をきたすほどの温度じゃないでしょ。まだたったの38度だし。弱っているとはいえ、今の私でも3000度ぐらいまでなら普通だよ。
Arkway, that's 100 degrees. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm an idiot for even asking. Did she say 3,000 degrees Celsius? So you could throw a vampire on a grill and they still wouldn't burn? No, this isn't the time to be thinking about that. The digital display still lists the temperature as 11 degrees, so either the clock is malfunctioning or my body is. I search the room for another thermometer.
なんだあれ。
As I scan the room, my gaze becomes transfixed on the monitor, displaying a live feed of the hotel lobby.
燃えてる。
Ooh. I can hardly believe my eyes. It's something you'd only see in a movie. Flames spread through the lobby, like water spilling from a sink. Mixed in the thick black smoke, I see a humanoid silhouette. It gives me the impression... Excuse me, sorry. It gives me the impression of a massive predator, a carnivore that eats those like it.
アルクエド。
Arkwade remains silent. Is it hostility I read in her expression? No, it's something more like contempt. The two of us must be entertaining very different thoughts as we stare at this monitor. Give me like a couple of minutes. I will be right back. And we're back. Went to go refill my drink. I went ahead and re-promoted the stream on Twitter. Okay, here we go. It takes less than a minute for the lobby to be entirely engulfed by the sea of flames. The fire alarm doesn't ring. The digital thermometer still hasn't changed. But my body is drenched in sweat, and simply breathing the hot, dry air is enough to parch my throat. There's no time to think. They're here. Those flaming corpses from before have come to the hotel. I make a run for the window to inspect the situation outside. Sorry about that. The town looks the same as ever. The hotel is bathed in flames, but nobody outside seems to have noticed a thing. There's no sign of aid rushing to the hotel, nor of any humans frantically trying to escape the fire. Arkwade keeps her mouth firmly shut, unwilling to say a word. Time simply passes. The temperature feels like it's getting hotter by the second. My skin feels like it could burn any minute. I don't know what things are like outside of our room, nor do I have any idea what things are like on the floors below. All I know is the awful, ominous feeling gripping my chest, telling me that it's already too late. Arkwade is still silent. Is it because she's worried or frustrated? Her arms are crossed like she's hugging herself, or maybe she's trying to hold herself back. She said she wouldn't leave this room. She said she didn't have the power right now. In which case, what did I come here for? Okay. This feels like a choice that could actually lead to us possibly dying. Let's be brave. Let's investigate. Let's go get ourselves killed. I take a short, deep breath to clear my head. I search for something I could use as a weapon, but a quick survey of the room doesn't give me anything. I swallow my hesitation, take my knife from my bag, and head for the door. Arkwade looks like she wants to say something, but I tear my gaze away and head into the hallway. It's dark. I guess the lights must have malfunctioned. The only light I see is a faraway glow from the elevator hall. My throat burns more now. The very air is thick and scraping against me like sandpaper. The silence in the hallway is unsettling. You could hear a pin drop. There isn't a single sign of life. No running in terror. No burnt. The utter silence is making me question what I saw on the monitor just now. I walk through the hallway. Sweat forms into beads and runs down my forehead. It's so quiet, I'm starting to feel that I'm the intruder here. Intruder. Normally, you'd exterminate any pests that intrude a place like this. It's all I can do to calm myself down. I readjust my grip on the knife so the sweat doesn't make it slip from my palm. I feel nauseous. There's a pressure near my temples. Somewhere between my eyes and my brain, my nerves experience a strange pull. It's as if my eyes are trying to crawl into my brain cavity, or maybe my brain's trying to swallow my eyes. I bite back against the dull, aching pain as I traverse through the heat wave, blasting me from all sides. My eyes grow heavy. My eyelids feel like they're gaining mass. My body sways. I might just pass out. I know the feeling well. It's how I feel just before I collapse from anemia. It hurts. The pain is so unbearable, I have to take off my glasses. I look in the direction of the elevators. This corridor is so long. It's got to be more than 20 meters to the elevators from here. It's too far, I tell myself. Go back to the room. What is this? A few more steps, and there will be no more going back. Elevator chime jump scare. A clear sound. The gentle chime of the elevator shatters the silence, as if to herald the destruction of this pure, empty space, devoid of life. A foreboding chill stops me in my tracks. My eyes are pulled towards the unwanted intrusion. The small elevator light stops. It has arrived at its destination. I can see the line stretching across the elevator door in the distance. Though, shrouded by so many, a dense web of them, I can barely see the door. The door's open. I peer inside the cramped metal box. The inside is overflowing with flesh. The flesh of things that were alive until a moment ago. Ugh. My breathing ceases. Just like my brain refuses to process the things I'm seeing, so do my lungs abandon their duty. I stare at the scene within the elevator. The thick chunks of red meat are packed tight as they can be within the metal box. In the middle of it all are two dogs, tearing at their morbid feast. My vision turns red. With a nauseating squelching noise, a gelatinous mass of meat oozes out of the elevator. A sea of blood, carcass, bone, brain, fingers, and viscera. The pool of carnage only houses two living residents, the dogs. The rational part of my brain refuses to accept this scene as reality. At the end of the hallway, the dogs are still digging into the mutilated cadavers. Terrible new sounds travel up through the elevator shaft. Discordant screams spill into the hallway. If I strain my ears, I can just make out the sounds of flesh being gnawed on. Intermingled with the shrieks of despair, so anguished they hardly sound human. It feels like my hearing has found a shortcut to my imagination. Even though I can't see it with my eyes, the carnage is all too clear in my mind's eye. People being burned alive. People being eaten alive. A man notices the unusual temperature and leaves his room to flee. The second he opens the door, he is enveloped by a hellish fire that roasts him to the bone. Oh my gosh, it's this song! Yo! It's so funny whenever an old song comes back, because it's like, they're legitimately only like 12, so it's very noticeable. Because those songs just are permanently seared into your brain. I am also ruined on this song in particular, because someone made I think it's a video, or it's like this beat from Tsukihime sounds familiar, and it's just this song, the original version, mixed with Teach Me How to Dougie. That has permanently ruined this song. So, that's fun. A young girl sobs in despair, locked in her room. When the flames from the lobby reach her floor, she is in the bathtub. The water... The water steams and bubbles, boiling her alive and turning her ruptured flesh to ash from the inside out. Oh. Many clamor to get into an elevator that arrives. Inside, they find it already packed with the bodies of those who tried to escape before. By the time the newcomers realize those present are no longer human, they are already being consumed. There are two types of screams, those born from the fear of being eaten, and those born from the fear of being burned alive. Alright, you get an option. Do you get burned alive, or do you get eaten alive? Which one you picking? I feel like I would say burned alive, only because there's something inherently a lot more horrifying about getting eaten as like a concept. There are no exceptions. The small elevator is a microcosm of what the hotel has become. This vision of hell is so close I can feel the agony flush against my skin. I want to throw up, but I can't. If I did, I'd become a part of this horrible ocean of red. I force my body to remember how to breathe. I grind my teeth together to regain a sense of control. The dogs notice me. As soon as they do, all sound from the floors below stops. That can only mean one thing. No one else is alive. The dogs break into a sprint toward me. I'm the only prey left within their hunting grounds. The black hounds approach me. Their bodies are marked with countless lines. But they're no use to me now. My mind is too paralyzed to do anything. I can't even decide whether to fight or flee. One of the dogs leaps. No human could even come close to matching it in speed. It covers the 20 meters of the hallway in less than 2 seconds. Its maw opens wide. Sharp, saw-like teeth reach for my throat. The dog's movements are fast and deadly efficient. The second my mind manages to process it, that it is leaping at me, the beast closes its fangs around my neck with a terrible gnashing sound. Oh. This is where Shikitono dies. Oh, I was fully expecting, bad ending, but, no, that isn't right. This won't kill me. I won't die here. Seeing death isn't new to me. It was a hot summer day. It feels so long ago, yet it was merely 7 years. Back then, I witnessed something far more horrifying. Stab. I thrust my knife into the forehead of the dog that tried to gnaw at my throat. As if on autopilot, my arm swung up the second the monster's canines touched my skin, before it could pierce my corroded artery. I surprised even myself. Like a machine whose only function is cutting and slicing, I thread the knife through the dog's forehead with mechanical precision. It comes easy as I am merely cutting through one of the dog's lines. Normally, destroying an animal's brain wouldn't cause its body to cease functioning immediately. The muscles will move and spasm in response to the brain's final signals, carrying out their last commands to the best of their ability. Even if I tore my blade straight through the dog's head, its fangs would still tear through my neck. But this is different. I didn't just kill the dog, I brought it death. Death means total cessation. No matter how monstrous the dog was, it lost every ounce of power the second I killed it. It falls limply to the ground. The second dog is already lunging toward me in its place. I stab the knife into its wide-open jaw. My blade buries into its wet flesh. The skin of the dog may be oddly tough, but its insides are soft and yielding, its flesh and bone having long rotted. But I messed up this time. This dog's lines aren't on its head. They're all congregated around its chest. I might have managed to stab it, but the damage done is little more than a flesh wound. The knife has pierced the dog's maw, reaching the back of its head, which naturally means that the hand holding the knife is now fully enveloped by the creature's mouth. Ugh. The dog is still very much alive. It clamps its jaw shut around my outstretched arm. I feel the strain as it pulls against the soft cartilage between my hand and wrist. Any moment now, it'll tear straight through the flesh. The pain is enough to snap me back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. This fucking hurts. What the hell am I doing getting my arm torn to shreds just to stick a knife into a dog's mouth? I struggle and squirm, trying to wrench my arm out of its vice-like grip. As something gnashes at my arm, an intense pain shoots up through my nerves like a firework. Its teeth feel like they're stuck deep within my arm, but it's awfully lively for something with a knife in its skull. The dog presses its weight against me, toppling both of us and pinning me down against the carpet. My back is driven hard against the floor, but even now its grip on my arm hasn't loosened one bit. With my knife still plunged deep inside its head, the black dog tightens its jaw further. It's gonna rip off my arm. This is insane. What kind of dog keeps biting down in a situation like this? Something warm and wet drips down to my elbow. Red blood is dribbling from the dog's frenzied, quivering lips. It might be the dog's blood trickling down my arm from the knife, or it might be my blood, flowing freely as the dog tries to render my arm into mincemeat. To my scrambled brain, it doesn't matter much. The dog refuses to release its prize. There's no way I can run away with the dog still clinging to my arm. Not that running away was ever an option to begin with, nor did I have any intention of doing so. I just want to survive, and in order to survive, there was only ever one condition. All I have to do is kill. But how do I do that? It won't be long until one of my arms gets chewed off. That arm is still gripping the knife. The full weight of the dog has me trapped against the carpet. Even if I managed to pull my arm free, chances are the dog would have its jaws around my neck the very next second. Desperate circumstances force a weak chuckle to escape my lips. I just need some time to assess the situation. Some time to really think it through. That's how I've always done things. That's how I was taught. Like, look, see how there are plenty of lines running along the back of the dog's head? The path to survival is blindingly clear. This is a wild beast, a monster that devours humans. But when it's this close to me, I'm painfully aware of its wildly beating heart, burning with its own desire to live. It clamps down on my arm even harder than before. I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid I wish it was me tearing my own throat out. It's kill or be killed, a natural, universal law. So why? Why does the supposed cruelty of the action give me so much pause? A thick drop of blood splashes against my face. The red fluid drips down my forehead and into my eyes. My vision is painted a deep dark crimson. It burns itself into my retinas until red is all I can see. The warm, viscous liquid strikes me as oddly familiar. My consciousness slowly slips away from me. Even so, I can't kill something that's alive. Hypocrite. You've already killed something much bigger than some mutt. Ah, that's right. But that time was different. With Arcade, Shiki Tono wasn't thinking clearly at all. Even when I killed that big dog, it was as if my body moved on its own, without my input. But this time, it requires me to make a conscious decision. Didn't Master tell you, Shiki? To use this power for yourself and not for anyone else? That's why, as long as I stay who I am, as long as I remain a decent human being, I will never take any life for granted. Hypocrite. You've done it all before, long ago. A bad dream from my childhood. Look, what's holding you back now? It was a hot summer day. It's kill or be killed. Before me is the figure of a young boy drenched in blood. You've already. My hands are stained with warm red blood. Killed before, haven't you? That was a really good scream. I stab. Rather than extract my arm, I instead bury it deeper as I slice through the beast's skull. A pained shriek echoes in my eardrums. Unable to cry out properly with my arm jammed down its throat, the dog's wail resembles a woman's shrill scream. It must be in tremendous pain. Not that it matters. I drive the knife deeper inside, together with my mangled arm. The blade pokes out from the back of the dog's skull. I split its skull and effortlessly slice through its hide. scattering gobs of blood and brains across the carpet. Before I know it, I've thrust both my knife and my arm cleanly through the back of the dog's skull. And yet, it still lives. There's only one thing left for me to do. I take the knife from my bloodied right hand and move it to my left. Bro literally has his entire ass arm sticking through the head of something. He's like, let me just reach around you here. Let me just average Midwesterner at the supermarket, just like, oh, let me pass right by you here. The impaled dog's body trembles and squirms, seemingly pleading for mercy. It even stops digging its fangs into my flesh as if to show remorse. Like I fucking care. I run my blade along the beast's lines and quickly dismantle its body. I look down on that which was once filled with life. The limp body no longer protests as I finally remove my arm from its maw. I take a long look at my bloodied arm. My school uniform has been torn to shreds, but the gouges in my flesh aren't even a centimeter deep. The deluge of blood dripping down my arm earlier must have belonged to the dog. It doesn't even hurt that badly anymore. My fear must have clouded my mind and amplified the pain in the heat of the moment. I'm still lying down on the floor, staring at the ceiling. My head hurts so much. My world is a patchwork, stitched together by these lines of death. Though my limbs are freezing cold, my mind is spinning with a fever. The corpses of the two dogs are right beside me. One of my arms is covered in blood, while the other still clutches the reddened knife. Beneath this floor are the mangled and charred corpses of the victims that died in the pandemonium. There's nothing I can do but laugh, because this isn't real. It can't possibly be real. I'm normal. Totally normal. The only weird thing here is this dream. The second I wake up, it'll all go away. But when did I start dreaming with my eyes open? The elevator chimes. Such a cute, clear noise. Entirely inappropriate for the current situation. It's the elevator adjacent to the one that brought the dogs. My exhausted brain doesn't even try to contemplate what this means. The door's open. My mind might not be working, but my body will have to. In a dull haze, I grip the knife in my right hand and haul myself up to face the oncoming tragedy. I don't want to do this. I wearily gaze inside of the newly arrived elevator. Inside it is... Oh? It's completely empty. A bit of an anticlimax in its own way. The danger has passed. Everything's over, and I've already gotten a grasp of the situation on the lower floors, which means there's no reason for me to stick around here. I turn to leave when... hear a woman's voice. She sounds so desperate, it almost seems like out of touch with reality. Her pleading screams grow in volume, accompanied by panicked footfalls. There's no mistaking it. It must be a survivor, out of breath as she frantically works her way up from the stairwell next to the elevators. Yes, let's run up the stairs in a burning building. She sounds relieved, but she doesn't slow her pace. Within moments, I can see her, spilling from the stairwell and into the hallway. She starts running again as she takes note of me. Her expression, overcast and pale with fear, is lit up by a flash of joy as her eyes focus on me. A white-gloved hand seizes her, ripping her from salvation and back into hell. Still watching me, the woman begs for help. And then she falls silent. No resistance, no constraints that bind her. The second she's grabbed, she loses consciousness, as if this were a dream and she was snapped awake, leaving only her body behind. Stop. Yo, he's got some fucking chompers. Stop this at once. That woman. She has nothing to do with this. She's just a sweet and innocent girl. Preying on her is... My cries come too late. Not that they would have changed anything. My eyes are fixated on the woman's neck. Starry orbs of light flicker and scatter within my vision. Rage, like never before, boils in my chest. Oh, God. My vision clears, and I see two soulless pits amid a deluge of blood. The woman's legs twitch ever so slightly, her fingers jolting reflexively. All emotion, all life, drains from her face. It has to be the first time I've seen it happen, but I don't need to be familiar with the sight to comprehend the horrifying spectacle in front of me. The drinking and gulping of the monster is almost unnaturally loud against the otherwise silent hallway. When it's had its fill, the monster discards her body without a second thought. Her body wavers, frail like a withered tree. A ballerina, tiptoeing the fine line between life and death. I gaze at her pitiful form. The woman is totally silent. The only sound is that of rushing blood. Then her back splits open. In a single moment, a fountain of blood erupts. The vampire sighs in relief as he bathes in the scarlet shower. In an instant, everything around me changes. The sweltering temperature finally seems to match up with reality. A dam of fire bursts, flooding out all at once. The hallway is absolutely enveloped by flames. The heat presses against me, singeing and stinging at my skin like claws. I guess singeing would have an E, because otherwise it would just be singing. But it's one of those words I just, never really thought about, how you would write that. I love English as a language, let me tell you what. If I were to take a breath now, I'd surely burn my lungs. But something is strange here. The flames continue licking at their surroundings, and yet the building isn't on fire. As the only thing still alive here, I'm the only one left to feel this inferno. My headache intensifies. The man begins walking my way. It's clear he's the source of this river of flames. The closer he gets, the more terrible the heat becomes. He's still 15 meters away from me, but even at this distance, it's impossible for me to breathe. I realize that nothing could survive in this man's vicinity. The proximity alone would lead to certain incineration. The shadow continues onwards in my direction. He's lean and tall, wearing antiquated clothes topped by a heavy fur cloak. Though his figure may be human-like, everything about him screams that he's anything but. There's something off about him, something wild and crazed. Only 13 meters now. He continues without a sound. I glare at the man, knife firmly in hand. He doesn't respond. I'm starting to wonder if he can even see me. 10 meters. I train my eyes on his body. Amid the rising flames, I can finally see the lines of death that cover him. What the fuck is that? My brain feels like soup boiling over an open flame. What is that? A dense and intricate torrent of death swirls at the center of it all, and at the center of its torrent is an odd glimmer, bright and shiny like a precious jewel. My head hurts too much to keep staring at it. It's like how staring straight into the sun will burn your retinas. There's no way I can directly stare at his core for too long. If I don't steel myself, my brain itself might rupture at the sight of it. 8 meters. He draws ever closer. The temperature rises, though not enough to cook through human flesh yet. 6 meters. The man stops. His focus falls on me. It took him this long to notice me standing here. I meet his gaze. I shouldn't make eye contact. Arcwade's words of warning ring clearly in my ears. But I can't tear my eyes away. I can't ignore the abyss before me. He's different. His eyes can't be the mystic eyes Arcwade was talking about. These are entirely fundamentally different. They aren't eyes that bind the viewer. They're just filled with madness. The eyes of one who has lost his mind. A madman. A poor, hapless man driven crazy by his own impulses. A man just like me, for real, for real. My instincts scream at me to get out of danger. Every alarm in my body tells me this is bad news. But my body won't move, not even as much as a single fingertip. Danger signals fire through my synapses. No matter the cost, I have to get away from him. If I don't, it'll be the end for me. But I'm too late. The creature with sickly eyes stares at me, barely pays me any notice. From its outstretched hand unfolds a fire that'll burn me alive. I'm going to die. This fire is as real as it is terrifying. Different from the blue flames that flooded the hall, they were some sort of byproduct, an effect to his cause. They could swallow you alive, but you wouldn't die immediately. They'd scorch you with some awful phantom pain that feeds off life itself. These flames are different. Just getting close is enough to char the skin, enough to burn all organic matter to ashes. The fire engulfs me from all sides, like a claw seizing its prey. It will cleave my body in two, neatly cauterizing the flesh where it is ripped apart. The only thing more real than this fire is my fate. Yet, just before I die, my body is flung backwards with a snap. Thank you, Arcwade. The name creaks from my throat. My mind goes blank. I have a rough understanding of what just transpired. Arcwade pulled me back before stepping in front of me to absorb the blow from that sinister, fiery hand. But what I don't understand is why she did it. Wasn't I supposed to be her shield? So why is she getting hurt to protect me instead? Sorry about that. Arcwade's face scrunches up in pain. The man hits her with the flaming claw again and again. This time, she doesn't have to pull me out of the fire's way. Arcwade swings her right hand like she did in the alley, batting the flames away. But she's unable to extinguish the flames entirely, and the lingering embers strike her head on. Does that mean even Arcwade could be burned if she took the full brunt of these flames? Are they hot enough to kill even her, this woman with barely any lines on her, who's supposed to be so far removed from death? The entire clash lasts less than 5 seconds. The two exchange a dozen blows each way. I don't understand why, but when they're done, the man solemnly lowers his arm. He stares at Arcwade intently, not saying a single word. Arcwade glares back bitterly as she clutches at her red abdomen. The man has eyes for nothing but Arcwade. He doesn't even care that I'm here, safe behind Arcwade's protective figure, clutching a knife. Bro woke up. Vapor slips from the man's lips. His breath is heavy, like it's being pushed through an exhaust pipe, as he reaches with his left hand to find something beneath his coat. I hear a faint metallic clink. It's gotta be some kind of blade. He's hiding a long object beneath his coat, the same object he used to rend through the back of that woman and turn her into a fountain of blood. He takes one step closer to Arcwade. His weapon is still carefully concealed beneath his coat. The man stops in his tracks. A light flickers behind his hollow eyes, as if he's only just remembering himself. I don't even know what language Arquade used, but the man clears his throat, composing himself. His voice carries a current of pain, like he had forgotten he were a living being until just now.
礼儀は知っている。だが、貴様に語るほどの名はまだない。
礼儀はなっていないけど、恥だけは足りているよね。元の名前は失ったか。でも呼び名ぐらいはあるでしょ。継いだばかりのようだけど、仮にもその一角なんだから。
The atmosphere in the hall shifts. The azure flames well up all around the corridor, burning ever brighter. It looks like Arquade hit a sore spot.
グロー
A pained expression paints his
ブ。
face.
グローブ・アルハンゲリ。
He declares his name.
知らない名前。私が記録していない以上、正当な後継者とも思えない。もしかして親は自滅？
そうではない。ご当主は俺が仕留めた。
なったばかりの祖ってこと？じゃあ次は私を殺して箔をつけたい？
名誉は己の胸にあるものだ。俺が欲しいものしか奪わない。
心構えは立派だけど、それなら私だけに絞りなさい。これはちょっとやりすぎよ。
いや、この都市は汚れている。焼き尽くさなければ俺の心情に戻る。
あっそう。つまり蛮族同然の三流使徒だったわけ。
ソヤであることは自覚している。神祖の姫、その心臓を俺によこせ。
The area around Vlov twists with the simmering heat. Like a river bursting through its banks, the fire rushes in our direction. Arquade stands in front of me like a breakwater, holding back the flood from swallowing me whole.
動かないで式。この炎があいつの武器。消し済みになりたくなかったら、私の後ろから離れないで。
I appreciate her warning, but something about her words strikes me as odd. This is his weapon? Is she really sure about that? I mean, after creating these high temperatures, he's still... No, this isn't the time to think about that. Focusing, I tightly grip the knife in my hand. He's coming. The hallway is now a cavern of flame. Vlov pulls the blade from his coat. Oh. Is bro just about to fuck off? For some strange reason, Vlov suddenly turns his back towards us. He strides down the hall and leisurely enters the elevator, leaving us behind as if nothing had happened. Okay, now I officially don't understand a goddamn thing. I don't understand those dogs, I don't understand the flames that covered the hallway, and I don't understand the waking nightmare that attacked the hotel. Arquade slumps against me with a thud. She's got a nasty wound. It looks like she managed to stop the bleeding, but her face is contorted in pain. It's still fresh. After all, she only just received the wound while she was shielding me from certain death.
そうだよ。お前、なんで？
ちょっと甘く見てた。あれくらいなら式を助けて、私も軽くかわせると思ったんだけど。さすがだね、式。式にやられた傷、そんなに甘くなかったみたい。
With her face still scrunched up in pain, Arquade smiles as if she were amused by her own words. I can't bear to look at her. Not only did she suffer this wound while protecting me, I'm the reason she's this weak in the first place. So why is she still smiling at me so stupidly? How am I even supposed to respond? Arquade leans against me, putting her weight on my shoulder as she closes her
ちょっ
eyes.
と待て。何目を閉じてるんだ、バカ！しっかりしろ。お前は夜なら死なない吸血鬼なんだろ。
うん。でも、私、なんだか限界みたい。悪いんだけど、 部屋まで連れ帰っておいて。
Arcade collapses against me. I manage to catch her just in time, arms wrapped tight around her slender body.
ちょっと待ってくれ。
If you die on me here, I'll really have no idea how to respond.
ダメだ。起きろ、アルクエイド。
I shout at her, shivering. Her eyes remain closed. When she's just eepy. Her soft snoring sounds so content. I'm starting to feel like an idiot for being worried about her at all. Yeah, my concern was wasted on her. She's not dying, she just fell asleep.
部屋まで連れてけって、また勝手なこと言いやがって。
It's not like there's any other option, though. We can't exactly stay at the hotel when it's like this. Things will get difficult if we stick around the scene of a massacre. Despite everything being limited to just the hotel, as morning comes and people arrive, it'll quickly be clear what happened. My head still hurts. Arkwade isn't the only one who's at her limit. I put my glasses back on to at least alleviate my headache.
アルクエイドの部屋って、あそこか。
Even though I've only visited once, yeah, that's what you did, I still vividly recall its location. Well, no point loitering here any longer. I gather up our things from the royal suite, pull Arkwade into my arms, and leave the Baron Hotel with a feeling of shame pressing down on my shoulders. It's already light outside.
そうか。そういうことか。
That explains why the man left so suddenly. The sun illuminates the city with its gentle light. Night has given way to day. For now, I should just focus on getting Arkwade the rest she needs. Taking a taxi is out of the question. We stand out. If a pair this suspicious got into your car, you'd definitely remember their faces. Instead, I carry Arkwade as far from the hotel as I can before boarding a bus bound for Soya Station. We're lucky. Given the early hour, there are no witnesses or curious onlookers to point their gaze at us. The emergency exit around the back is exactly like I left it 2 days ago. Neither the residents nor the building's caretakers must have noticed the lock was broken. It's 6:30 in the morning now. I sneak into the self-proclaimed vampire's room, just like I did the last time. Thankfully, or finally, this long mess of a day can be laid to rest. That gonna be end of the chapter? That feels very end of chapter core, the delivery there. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty. Okay, so that is the rest of chapter 4. A lot of lore, a lot of murder, as the classic Tsukihime experience. With that being said, I think it's about time I head out. I am feeling a little bit eepy, a little bit sleepy here. So with that being said, thank you all for coming out today. I will be back with more Tsukihime next week. Only other stream I have planned for this week is this upcoming Sunday, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. Going to be doing more Broke Boys Yu-Gi-Oh! With Bloomin' and Frost. So come stick around for some fun quality deck building. Probably going to be playing a little bit less Tsukihime next week. Try to maybe fit back some regular Yu-Gi-Oh! Into the schedule some more. But otherwise, I hope everyone has a good rest of their Friday and a good weekend. And I will see you all on Sunday. Have a good one.